Hey guys, what's up? It's Lainey, and today I got a very special video for you guys. I'm giving you guys a recommendations video for 5 short romance books. This coincides with something that Riley and I have decided to put together. If you follow us on Twitter or on Instagram, which you guys should, because we announced a few weeks ago that we are hosting our first 24-hour Smutathon. I'll link the thread down below where we announced it on Twitter. Has a whole bunch of information there, but the quick nitty-gritty is that this Saturday, August 31st, we are hosting a 24-hour smutty readathon. You just read as many smutty books in a 24-hour period that you can. We're super excited to host this because we think it's gonna be a lot of fun, and I have my TBR planned. I have 6 books on my TBR. Why I thought that was a good idea for 24 hours. The key for this is to read a lot of short books. And we do have a optional group book for this round only for a Night by Naima Simone. I can't wait to read it. That one is definitely on my TBR, spoiler alert. It's a 120-page novella where this guy owns a sex club and his ex-girlfriend's in town, and then just things happen only for a night. Obviously, the name of the game for Smutathon is to read short books and novellas. I thought I would give you guys 5 recommendations that are some of my favorite short romances. My criteria for this had to be less than 300 pages or less than 5 hours for like an audiobook. And if you're looking for a quick TBR, I think this is the perfect video for that. In no particular order, here are my 5 recommendations for short romances. First one I'm going to recommend is possibly my favorite. It's also the smuttiest book on this list, and that's going to be Desperate Measures by K.T. Robert. I read this for Smutathon last round, and it is a Jasmine and Jafar villain ship retelling. Everything that I wanted in a Jasmine and Jafar ship is in this book. You meet a lot of other villain type characters, like Captain Hook is in this book, Hades, Meg. So it's definitely going to be a series, but I really like Jasmine and Jafar because Jasmine and Jafar is my favorite villain ship in Disney movies. I would say it's a little bit more on the darker side, but I don't think it's full dark romance. On like the smutty scale, it broke the scale. It's super, super smutty, and it just has everything that I like in a really short, smutty romance, and I really was on board with the ship as well. The only thing that I didn't like about it is that there's a little bit of like a daddy kink in this book. Like Jasmine calls Jafar daddy a whole lot, and honestly I could have done less with that because that's just not my kink at all in books. Everything else in the book is amazing, I promise. You know, maybe I should just get the dark romances out of the way, because I realize as I'm looking down at my list I have 2 more darker romances. The Devil by Ashley Jade. I read this earlier this year. I really liked it. The second book is out, and I know I have to get to it, but there's just so much on my TBR right now. This is actually a book I feel like it's almost better to go in blind, knowing that it has a little bit more of darker elements in it, so all of those kind of trigger warnings that go with a darker romance, just be prepared for that as you go into it. And I think you'd be okay if those things make you uncomfortable. Probably not the book for you, or find a review that just has better explanation of what this book's about. But I went into this completely blind. I just started it, didn't know if I'd like it based off of the beginning, specifically the daddy kink. That wasn't like the theme of the book at all. So there is like a lot of different elements in this book. There's age gap, there's LGBTQ, masquerade parties, so all like the tropes that I like are in this book. It was like always going in a different direction than I thought it was going to go. Every time I thought I figured out the story, I really didn't know what was going on with the story. I did read this book in a day because I was just so interested and I couldn't stop reading. And then the last darker romance that I will recommend for short romances is Wanderlust by Skye Warren. Skye Warren is one of my favorite romance authors. She does a lot of darker romances. She does age gap romances. She does mafia romances. She does like a whole slew of things. I do have Skye Warren on auto buy. I'm always interested in her books. She releases a ton a year. My favorite of the shorter ones is Wanderlust, and this one is also very dark. There's a lot of dubious consent issues in this book, like a captor-captive relationship, which in dark romance, that doesn't bother me because that's in the darker romance wheelhouse. So here's the thing, I plan to do an intro to dark romance video. It's been on my list of things to do all year, but I just haven't gotten around to it. To me, I forgive pretty much anything that would be considered problematic in a darker romance because that is just what you expect when you go into those kind of books. That's just part of the darker romance subgenre. It's not hailing these relationships as the thing that you should be achieving in your own, because none of the relationships are part of like the societal norm, so you can't really hold them to a societal norm type of rules. But that is my defense of darker romances. But Wanderlust does deal with that a lot because it's been a couple years since I've read this, but I know I really loved it when I read it and I couldn't stop reading it. The main character, the girl, she gets kidnapped by a semi-truck driver. It's kind of like a road trip, which is one of my favorite tropes in books. That's probably not a really good way to describe it, but I really loved it. So that's it for the darker romances. The next two aren't really, they're not dark romance at all. The first one being the Planet Barbarians series by Ruby Dixon. And I remember I said in the video that I first read these books that I don't even know if I could recommend them because I don't know if I would. I am recommending them for a shorter romance because they're very quick. You get through them quickly, and it's a wild, smutty ride. That's all you need, especially in a 24-hour Smutathon. I think the audiobooks are usually only around 5 hours, if that. I do recommend listening to the audiobook just because I prefer the male narrator a lot. Like, he's one of my favorite male narrators. He does the alien accent very well. I really like it, and I've grown attached to the Planet Barbarian alien accents because of him. Did I even mention this was alien smut? Of course it's alien smut because you're on my channel. And the last shorter romance book that I'm gonna recommend is Filthy Gods by R. Scarlett. I read this book last year on Riley's recommendation. She told me to read it. It was really smutty. It takes place over the summer, and it's a novella prequel to what will eventually be the American Gods series. And this one follows two characters who are bitter rivals in school, and they're always trying to one-up each other in, I'm pretty sure it's the law school at Yale. The female main character ends up working at the country club that the main boy character is at, and they kind of come up with this arrangement where they're just gonna have sex all summer. And then that's the novella. So those are the 5 short romance books that I'm gonna recommend to you guys today. I think I kind of spread it kind of all around. Got some darker romance, got some contemporary, got some college and dark and aliens. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And don't forget that Smutathon starts Saturday, August 31st, and all the information will be linked down below if you guys are interested in joining in. Constant smut all day. So if you guys are new here, my name is Lainey. I make videos about books and writing, and that's pretty much it. That's all I do on my channel. So if you like what you see, make sure you subscribe down below, and I will see you guys all very soon. Bye!